Hello, welcome to my channel and craft room. I really hope you enjoy this video. If you do, please click the like button and leave a comment. Both of these things really help out my channel, plus I love to interact and chat with you all. I would also love it if you subscribe so we could craft along together in future videos too. You can find me on other social media platforms as well. Those links will be in the description box under each video. I'd love for us to connect there too. Right, let's get crafting. Hello everyone and welcome back to my messy desk. I am continuing with my line dot arrow design team project using the beautiful Shades of Nature Collage Pages kit. In the last video, which I will link down below in case you need to do a catch up, I made this signature. So I've done all my sewing and decorating, and I have bound this together because I'm going to use a different binding method to actually attach it to my cover. So I've done all of the decorating. I've got all trims and things on there. I've done all my sewing. I still have obviously all the strings and things which I will be trimming towards the end, but that's just cosmetic stuff, so I just wanted to get on with making it, and I can obviously do all the tarting up at the end. So my cover I'm going to be making from 2 of these paper bags. So these are just like thin lunch bags that you can get. It is going to be a wraparound journal. But I like the idea of using these because then I have some instant pockets as well. So those are going to be for the cover. I have gathered some bits and done some prep work so that you're not watching me just cut things up. I am going to be using this freebie as well. This is a freebie if you're part of the Line dot arrow Facebook group. Nathalie has a whole album full of different freebies, so yeah, absolutely worth joining the Facebook group just to get your hands on some of these goodies. So these are slide windows, so I thought these would be really good to make like little specimen slides that can go inside this nature journal. So I'm going to be using those, and I love these ones because they're all sort of all grungy and look aged on there, so I'm going to be using those. As I said, I've already started cutting some bits up. So these are some of the ephemera pages that Nathalie has. So I've started cutting some of those out already, which I'll show in a moment. These are the pockets. So I was thinking I'm going to trim these down slightly, and these are going to house the different slider windows. So again, I'll show you how I'm going to do that shortly. This one, so this was actually the original file folder, so this is how it comes in the kit, and then all I did was print on the reverse one of the collage pages, and then what I'm going to do is I've cut a window out, and as you can see I've put some clear washi stickers on there, and then this is going to be again like a little specimen window. And I'm going to cut a slit, but just out of one side, and then I'm going to kind of tuck a notebook in. It could just be a standalone pocket, so the person who uses this journal, once it's all finished, may decide to put tags and other bits of ephemera in there, but I'm going to use it as a place to put a little mini notepad, little scrappy notepad. So again, I've started that. As I said, all I've done is just use the file folder, cut my window out. I have got a die that does that, but you can absolutely do it freehand using a craft knife. And then this piece of acetate was actually just packaging. So where I have redone how I've stored my stamps, the kind of clear acetate that the stamps come on, I've just trimmed down a sheet of that and put those washi stickers on. So yeah, I'm going to carry on with that in a moment. I have printed out Nathalie's 2 envelopes that she has, and I have printed on the other side with one of her sort of fainter patterned pages, just so it's not stark white when you open up the envelope. So I've done those 2. Again, as I said, I've done some prep work, so these are the tags and some other bits of ephemera, and I've just stuck them onto tea dyed paper. I am going to sew around, but just like I did with the journal, I'm going to prep everything and do all my sewing in one hit just because it's easier. So those I've already cut out. The larger tags I've backed onto tea stained, they just need to be cut out, but again I'll do that off camera so I don't bore you to tears. And then there are some larger versions of those postcards, which again I've just put onto tea dyed paper, and again off camera I'll cut those out and sew around them, just so again you're not completely bored to tears watching me do that. And then finally I have these sheets. Now I've done 2 of each. I really love both of these. I love all the collaging on here. I love the peacock feather and the yellow flowers. And yeah, just all the collaging is really, really pretty. So I'm going to use this on my cover as well as this one. So I think this is quite a nice contrast, because you've got something that's, while it's busy, it's not as bright, whereas this one's quite a bright paper. So I thought they contrast quite well, because you've still got the greens and the kind of like oranges to kind of tie them together. But yeah, they contrast and complement each other very, very well. So these are the papers that I'm going to use for the base of my cover. Now before I do the cover, I'm going to finish off working on that file folder. So I'm going to finish this and make the little scrappy notepad for it. So I'm just going to grab my work mat so that I don't mess up my table. Okay, so that's a bit better. So as I said, I'm going to be creating a slot here. Now I don't necessarily need this piece of paper. I can just cut a slot out of there and it will be a pocket. However, I see Nick the Booksmith doing this quite a lot. Now she normally just uses a brown piece of paper, but this bit was a bit cut off on the edge of this piece of paper. So when I cut out the other side, this was a bit that was kind of like left to the side, so I thought that would make a perfect strip just to kind of reinforce this slot that I'm going to make. So the first thing I am going to do is glue this down. Now I think when I've seen Nick the Booksmith do it, she does one and then sticks it on and then cuts through, but I'm going to try and do it both together just because I think it's quicker and easier. So I'm just going to glue that down. I'm just going to try and make sure that it's roughly in the middle. Obviously it doesn't matter if it's not absolutely exact. So that's going to go down there. And as I said, I want this to be a pocket, so I don't want it coming through the other side. So I'm actually going to open this up. I'm going to get my metal ruler and my craft knife. Actually, I think I'm going to use this clear one. This does have a metal edge, but at least I'll be able to sort of see through to make sure that obviously I'm cutting in the right place. Okay, so I am left-handed, which is why I'm doing it this way round. So I'm sorry if this looks a little bit odd or cat-handed to you, but this is how I need to do it as a lefty. So although I do not like measuring, I'm just going to have a look at actually how wide this is. So it's just over 2 centimetres, so it's not quite an inch. So I think I'm just going to line this up and then try and go roughly for the middle, or just above the middle. So I'm not going right to the edge, I'm going to come in a little bit. Oh, try not to move the ruler when I start cutting. Okay, so I have made a slice there. I am now going to make another slice, so I am going to turn it around again just so I can see. I know you can't see it on camera, but I can see where the other cut is, so I'm just going slightly below that one. Okay, so as you can see, I've got that slither, so that's how thick it is. So a couple of millimeters for those of us that work in millimeters. It's not very much at all. So then I'm just going to cut down to release that and do the same on the other side. Okay, and then that's what I'm left with. So I have now that gap, and then that is going to be my pocket hole. Okay, so that's my pocket hole. I am going to sew around, so I'm not going to stick it down or do anything else with it at the moment, because I want to work on the little scrappy that's going to go inside. Okay, so I've got tea stained paper, I've also got a doily. I am going to add some lace and things to it as well. Obviously I can't have it too bulky because it's going to be going in one of the pockets, so yeah, it just can't be too bulky, otherwise my journal will not close. So I'm just going to move that to the side for a second. Now if you are crafting along, it's up to you whether you want totally straight lines. I am just going to create a bit of an edge, and I do just wiggle my ruler around. I just know I don't want it going past where my ruler is, but I don't mind it being a bit jaggedy. Let's just check how wide we want this. So maybe about there. Hang on. Approximately 10 centimetres ish, thereabouts. So about there. Okay, and then obviously we don't want it massively long. Let's tear off that edge. About there. I'm going to tear that one off as well. Awesome. Right. Now I can go from there. So I know I don't want it any wider than that. Okay, so I think that is going to be my scrappy. So I'm going to sew along the top, and then this back piece is what will slot into the pocket, and then that will just hold it in place, and then that will sit down at the bottom like that. So as I said, I'm going to sew along the top of that when I do all of my sewing, and then I can actually sew around all of this as well. So for now, I'm just going to pop a clip on top of that. to hold all of those pieces together. And then that's going to go on my sewing pile. Right, so that brings us back to working on the cover. So what I wanted last time, so you can see that I've already started kind of folding it, because this is why I worked on the cover last, because originally I folded it here, but then obviously where I've put all of these bits on, these are now sticking out, and I don't want them getting crushed and bent when my journal cover wraps around. So I have moved the fold so that all of this fits in quite nicely. So this is where my fold is going to be. Now I am going to put strips of fabric along the folds, just so that when I attach the signature inside, it just kind of reinforces it a little bit, because obviously these are thin paper bags, but the reason I chose to use these is because I want the flexibility, because I imagine somebody that goes out into nature, they don't want this great big heavy bulky book. They want something that, you know, is sort of flexible, easy to pop into a bag, that kind of a thing. So that's going to go that way. And then I'm going to have, let's figure out which way we're doing this, that going there, and then this was coming around here. So I can move that over a little bit. So this is going to get stuck down, so even that back piece can get stuck down. So I still have a pocket then at the back, and then I can put my closure here, but it gives scope for this to then to expand. So if this gets chunkier, this can obviously expand. So that was my plan. So what I'm going to do is just take this off, because this is pretty much where I want things to go. So I'm going to just apply some glue stick here. So I am just going to use my blue stick by Bostik. I am going to be sewing, so that's why I'm not too worried about using anything a bit stronger. So yeah, that was going to go there, and that just sticks that back piece down, but then I've still got a pocket here, and it also gives me a little pocket behind where the journal will be sitting. Okay, so that's those pieces stuck down. Let's put that away for a minute. So as I said, I'm going to have some fabric here where my journal is attached. So my journal's going to go there, and then this wraps around. Just debating whether I want to put a strip of fabric here as well, as this is going to be opening and closing a lot. But I'm thinking with being reinforced, because obviously I'm going to have a sheet of this card on this side, but also on that side, so it should be okay. It is mostly the spine really, so let's grab a strip of fabric then to do that. Okay, so I have, this is like a nice strong piece of cotton, so I'm going to use this to go up the spine. So I think I'm going to do it quite wide. I mean, obviously I'm going to have paper stuck over the top of it, but yeah, I think I'm going to make it quite wide, and I'm going to have it on the inside and on the back as well. Like I said, I just want to really reinforce it, because that's where my signature is going to be attached. Might have to pick a different end, because obviously that's curled over. So let's have it this way up. Right, let's move that out of the way so I don't end up accidentally cutting into something. going to use my rotary cutter just because that's easier. So I want something quite wide, like I said, just to really make sure that it's covered. Okay, and I'm just going to lay that on top of there, just so I can get the same width for both sides. Awesome. Okay, let's move that. So that gives us our pieces of fabric. Now they are too long at the moment, I do realise that. Let's have a look. So going to need it a little bit longer. Okay, now I am just going to pull at the bottoms just because I do want it to look a little bit frayed. I know not everybody likes this look, but I do. Okay, so that's that done. Right. So this crease, I don't know if you can even see that on camera, but there is a crease here. So I'm going to glue this down in here over that line, and I'm going to flip it over and do the same on the other side. This I am going to use stronger glue because again we need to make sure that it sticks. I'm going to use a little bit of this glue stick just down the centre, only because this collal glue is really good, but I don't want it seeping through the fabric. So I'm going to use a little bit of this glue stick just to help it stick in the middle, and then I'll use my collal glue to really make sure obviously the sides are stuck down. And again, bits will be sewn, so obviously that will hold it in place as well, but the spine I think is like the most important, like that's the bit that really needs to hold in place. Okay. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to flip it over. Oh, that means I'm going to cover up my pocket. That's a shame. Okay, I will think of something different for the outside. That's not a problem. I am just going to glue that down though. That's fine. I can redo that, but that's fine. Right, so again, bit of glue down the middle with the glue stick. And then the sides, I'll use the collal just to really make sure that it's stuck. Okay. Right, so that's that bit stuck down. Now we can start figuring out what papers we're going to have where. So as I said, I've got, whoops, these two, and now I know obviously they're not high enough. It doesn't bother me that you can see bits of the paper bag because it's brown, so it's fine. So it doesn't bother me that it's not tall enough. That's absolutely fine. So I'm just trying to think, what do I want shown on the front? So if this is all closed up, so like that and like that, what do I want where? So I'm thinking, do I want that, or do I want that on show? So I'm thinking I quite like this one to be wrapped around, but on this section, maybe then this one. And then when you open it up, I think I want more of this one. So I think I'd have, yeah, I'm going to have this half here. I'm going to have this part on the pocket, and then whatever's left of this to go over here. So I've got a feeling I might need to print another one of these, but that's okay. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. So what did I just say? So this bit is going to be this piece. And I don't want it going all the way to the edge. I am actually going to cut it into sections. So let's have a look. About there. Okay, so that's the first one to be cut. And I'm just going to put an F in that corner so I know that that's front cover. So that's going to go in there. Then I said I wanted this on the pocket, didn't I? So up to there. So front cover, that's going to be inside pocket, And then that's just spare, that bit there. Okay, then this one. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to print off another one of these. So what do I want there then? Oh no, I've done that one, haven't I? It was this bit. So it's going to wrap all the way around. So let's take that out. And it's literally going to be this section then, isn't it? So, so we either trim off, I might trim off a little bit off each edge. So if I trim there and there. Now I'm sorry if this means nothing to you. It means something to me. I'm going to trim it there. Okay. So that's that. And then on the inside, I wanted it to cover this side and this side. And that's why I think I'm going to need another one. Aha. Because I don't think that's going to be enough to do both of them. Because that's going to go to about there. Oops. Going a bit wonky. Yeah, so that only leaves me that little bit to do that section, which is not going to be enough. So I'm going to need to print another one of those. So inside, and I'll say this is the front. Okay, that's fine. So then I just need to print another one of those to go there. Right, I think what I'm going to do then is I'm going to print another one of those. I'm going to sew around all the bits that I need to sew around. I need to sew around these. I'm just trying to debate whether I want to sew them and then stick them down, or am I going to sew once it's on here? No, I think yeah, I'm going to sew around the actual piece of paper, not this, only because where it's quite short, if I then want to sew around these, then that leaves me a lot of gap up here. Or does that matter? I'm not sure that's going to matter. Okay, so I'm going to cut these to size, stick them down and sew around while it's all on here, and then as soon as I've done that, I will be back. Okay, right, sorry guys, there was a change of plan. So when I went to think about how I was going to sew this, I've changed a couple of bits over. So I can't fold this up yet because I have glued it down ready for sewing. But this is the inside. Now originally I was thinking I was going to print another one of these off and have that here. But I decided against that because I had so much of this left over. So I've put that this side because obviously you're going to have the journal in the middle anyway, and that's obviously going to fold there. And then I'm going to put the different pockets here, which again we'll sort out after I've sewn up the cover. Then I've got a pocket here. I've then got this piece here, which I'm going to think if there's anything I want to add on there. I'm not sure I will, because obviously that's going to be the wraparound flap. And then on the back, we've got those two, which is what I wanted to do anyway. So I'm going to let this dry for a bit, and then I will come back and do my sewing. So it may be in the morning, which is a plus, because not only will the glue be dry, but hopefully the lighting will be a little bit better as well. But yeah, I'm going to let all my glue dry, and then I'm going to just sew around each of the pieces, and then we can continue working on this. Okay, so all of the sewing has been done. I've done all of the different pieces of ephemera as well. So I've gone around all of the tags. I've even done some of the envelopes and done a little bit of stitching on those as well. That was the other envelope. So that's all of those done. This was the scrappy notepad that we have tucked into the pocket. So the nice thing is, as I said, is because there is that pocket there, you could put other things in there if you liked as well. But I liked the idea of having a removable scrappy pad. So all I did was just the last piece of paper is the bit that I put into that slot there. And then that just goes down in there and sits at the front. And it just kind of decorates the bottom as well a little bit. And then obviously you've got that window there at the top. Okay, so that's all those bits sewn. So the last thing I'm going to work on for this video, and then I'll have one more after this just to kind of finish everything off, is I wanted to use those little specimen cards. I showed you in the last video that Natalie had a whole page of them, and I've cut them all out. I've left one because I thought I may want to do one with you just to kind of show how I've done them. So we've got the different specimens that I've already done here, and what I've used for these is last year sometime I ordered these from a company called Grabie. They asked me to review a product, so I chose these. These are the ones that I ordered, and then they sent them out to me to kind of do a review on. And basically you build a flower with them, so you get all different petals, and they're all different flowers. Now, I had to look them up because I am not a flower person. I'm not personally someone who enjoys gardening. So I did have to look up what their names were. And then all I've done is just stuck them on a little piece of acetate. And then I've just written their names at the top and then just put a little number underneath as well. So that's those ones. There are only 5 different flowers, and I had 6 cards though. So this one I've just put unknown specimen, and I just used one of my clear stickers for that one. But I thought I'd show you my process anyway. So there is a little white gap in between them. That doesn't bother me because once it's folded you barely see that, and once you've inked around it totally disappears anyway. You can't really see it on any of those ones. So I just roughly cut round them. I then used my corner punch, and I used the smallest one, the 4mm. Obviously, if you don't have a corner punch that has different sizes, you can easily just cut round it with a pair of scissors, because Natalie's specimen cards do have a curve to them anyway, so you can just obviously just follow the line. But just to make sure that they were all even, I did use my corner punch. And then all I'm going to do is, I did start with my first one using a ruler, and then after that I just decided I was going to freehand it. But just using a craft knife, you're just going to cut out that middle box. So if you do it while it's folded, you kind of do both sides at once. Obviously, mind your fingers and be careful with this. If you don't trust yourself freehand, then like I said, use a ruler because it helps protect your fingers a little bit. But I just found doing it this way was so much easier than trying to do it. I mean, you can do it with scissors. You can just poke a hole in, then cut to the edges and then neaten it up. But I'm no good with scissors doing it like that. So I've just chopped it out with my craft knife so that you end up with that. I then had, again, same as what I did with this window. So where I've just had loads of acetate left over from when I was redoing my stamps, I've just cut them into these small squares. You might just be able to see it where it's kind of shining, but just yeah, a small little rectangle, just big enough to kind of obviously fit inside of there, but around the window. And then before I do anything else, I am going to ink. Like I said, it just gets rid of that white. So I just went around all of the edges, but I also went inside the window just in case, whoops, I hadn't cut quite so well and there was still a bit of white showing. So I did just dab inside the window as well, and then again doing it on the other side just in case there's any white showing on that side. And then inside the window again. Okay, I also did open it up and just kind of dab around again, just in case if it didn't line up just perfectly and there was some white showing from the inside window. I just went around the edge, so it doesn't have to be perfect, just a little bit of inking. Okay, then the next thing that I did was I used some red tape. So I've got this, which is, as you can see, extremely thin, only because using acetate I find that glue doesn't stick very well, or it takes a while to grab. Yeah, so obviously use what you have, but I do have this very thin tape. So all I do is I just kind of line one of the windows. Now I don't know how well you can see that on the camera, but there is a slight image where there's supposed to be, I think, like a metal plate on there. So you just need to decide whether you want that to be the top or the bottom. I think I might have that one at the bottom this time. So again, I'm just going to use a little bit of red tape just around the edges. Now, unlike some other double-sided tapes, if you've ever used red tape before, this one you can't tear, so you do actually have to cut this one. But this is a really strong tape. This is really, really good, this stuff. Okay, so that's everything in place. So I just give it a bit of a burnish and a rub down with a bone folder. And then you can use your nails. I've got this kind of weeding tool, and I just use that just to gently lift up that red release paper. It is quite static, it does tend to stick to you as well. But as I say, this is very sticky tape, so it holds acetate really, really well. Okay, then I just get my small piece of acetate and I just pop that over the top. Doesn't matter whether it's straight or not, so long as obviously it covers that window and it's on the tape. I did make a little note to myself just so I knew what each of these were. So this one is a clematis, I think. And as I said, it's just individual petals. So I just popped one on the front and then I flipped it over and I put one on the back. Now, the thing I love about these washi tapes is, true to petals, not all of them are exactly the same. So you'll notice, and I'll show you in a second, on some of my other specimen tags that they don't line up exactly, but that doesn't bother me. So I just stick one on the front, one on the back, so that at least when it's closed you can kind of see it on both sides. But yeah, if I show you what I mean, so I don't know how well you can see it on this one, but you can see a slight white on the back there where the other side is coming through, and again on there, because the petals aren't all the same shapes. So if you look at the shapes on this side, again you can see the white, and then on this side you can definitely see the white from the other ones on the other side. So yeah, these washi tapes are really, really great, and they're from a company called Grabie. I'll try and either find the video where I did the unboxing of these, or if I can find the links, I'll put the link down below to these, because these are really, really lovely. Okay, so once that's done, I do use a little bit of red tape. I will be using glue as well, but a little bit of red tape, like I said, just to hold that acetate really on the other side. And I only do it on the thin sides. So just a little bit on these slim sides here, one on the other side. Oops. Then I do use some glue, like I said, around the rest of it. So I'll do the top and the bottom, and I will go around the sides as well. But like I said, it just, having that tape there just ensures that it's definitely going to be stuck down and sealed around where the acetate is. Okay, and then that just gets folded over like that. Okay, while the glue dries on that, I'm just going to put that back there to one side. And then all I've done for the tops of these, where I can write the specimen name, I have this die here, which is, I think they're supposed to be like tag tops as well. You put them on top of tags, same as that one. So I had these ones. And it basically punches out like that. So I just used a scrap piece of paper from the kit for each of them, and I tried to do it so that there was perhaps a pattern on this side, but this side was always plain so that I had space to write. I didn't want it too busy here because then you wouldn't be able to see the writing. So all I'm going to do for this one is again a little bit of inking, just because when that's closed you'll see the stark white. And then just ink around the edges. But I just thought this made a nice sized tab, because I have got a tab punch, but it's absolutely huge. I think the tab size is probably even wider than that. It's absolutely huge, the tab punch that I've got. So originally that was my idea, but then when I pulled it out and I actually had to look at it, I thought, yeah, no, that's just far too wide. So that's when I had to look in my stash and I found these little tabs and I thought, oh, that's a much better size. Okay, and then all I did was just write here then the name of the flower and then just made up a number. So I'm just using a fine liner pen. It's a 0.2. And then a random number, let's think, 119. Okay, and then that's that done, and then it's just about sticking it onto here. So you want to be careful obviously when you're applying glue here, because there is a window. So what I normally do is glue this side first when all my glue comes to the bottom. So I glue this side first, I then kind of go around the window, and then I just do the bottom section here. And then I kind of lay this down, gauge roughly where the middle is, give it a slight press, then lift it up, and I can fold that over. And then because it's liquid glue, I've got a little bit of time to wiggle it and move it if I need to. But then that is the completed little specimen tab. I just thought they looked quite cute and would look really great, obviously, in this journal because it is nature themed. Right, I am going to leave it there for this video. As I said, there'll be one more just where we kind of finish off the cover. I've got a couple more elements that I want to put inside of the cover as well. Some more pockets, maybe a belly band on the back, I haven't decided yet. And yeah, then it's just attaching the signature inside and getting all this lovely ephemera tucked in as well. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, and I will see you all in the next crafty video. I'll see you later. Bye bye.